Have you ever heard of the king who was so fat a sword just disappeared inside him? It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but this story is straight from the ancient world, a tale of espionage, assassination, and a monarch whose size became his downfall. Today, we're diving deep into the untold story of Eglon, the Moabite king, whose reign came to a very sharp and sudden end. This isn't just a quirky historical footnote. It's a gripping drama that reveals so much about power, oppression, and the surprising ways history can turn on a dime, or in this case, on the length of a blade. So, who was this larger-than-life figure? Eglon was the king of Moab, a nation often at odds with its neighbor, ancient Israel. The biblical book of Judges tells us that for 18 long years, the Israelites were under Moabite rule. Eglon wasn't just a local ruler. He had formed a powerful coalition with the Ammonites and the Amalekites, creating a formidable force that allowed him to capture the city of Palms, which many scholars believe was Jericho. Imagine the humiliation for the Israelites, having to pay tribute to a foreign king in a city with such deep historical significance to them. This tribute wasn't just about money or goods. It was a constant, tangible reminder of their subjugation. And at the head of it all was King Eglon, who the text describes as a very fat man. Now, this detail isn't just a random descriptor. In ancient times, extreme weight could be seen as a sign of wealth, indulgence, and power. While his people and his conquered subjects toiled, Eglon was living a life of luxury, literally growing fat off their labor. This physical description paints a vivid picture of a decadent and oppressive ruler, completely detached from the struggles of those he governed. The Israelites, groaning under this heavy yoke, cried out for a deliverer. And a deliverer they got, but not in the way you might expect. No massive army, no epic battlefield clash. Instead, their salvation would come from one man, a left-handed assassin named Ehud. Ehud was from the tribe of Benjamin, a tribe known for its skilled warriors. The fact that he was left-handed is another crucial detail. In many ancient cultures, left-handedness was unusual, sometimes even viewed with suspicion. But for Ehud, it would become his secret weapon. He was chosen to be part of the delegation delivering the annual tribute to King Eglon. This was the perfect cover. Who would suspect a tribute bearer of having ulterior motives? So, Ehud crafts a special weapon for his mission, a double-edged dagger, about a cubit long that's roughly 18 inches, or a foot and a half. He strapped it to his right thigh, hidden under his clothing. This is where his left-handedness was key. Guards would typically search a person's left side, expecting a right-handed person to draw a weapon from there. By placing it on his right thigh, Ehud could draw it with his left hand, completely catching everyone off guard. It was a brilliant move, a calculated risk that relied on exploiting common assumptions. The scene is set. Ehud and his fellow Israelites arrive at Eglon's palace, likely a summer residence designed for comfort and coolness. They present the tribute, and as the other Israelites leave, Ehud does something incredibly bold. He turns back and approaches the king, saying, "Your Majesty, I have a secret message for you." Intrigued, King Eglon dismisses his attendants. He wanted to hear this secret in private. The king was sitting alone in his cool rooftop chamber, a private, secluded space. The heat of the day would have made this upper room the most comfortable place in the palace. But this isolation, this desire for a secret, would seal his fate. With the guards gone and the doors closed, Ehud steps closer to the king. "I have a message from God for you," he declares. As King Eglon rises from his throne, perhaps out of respect or curiosity, Ehud makes his move. With his left hand, he swiftly pulls the hidden dagger from his right thigh and thrusts it deep into the king's belly. And here comes the most graphic and memorable detail of the story. The text says the fat of the king's belly closed over the blade, so that Ehud couldn't even pull the sword out. The hilt went in right after the blade. The assassination was brutal, swift, and effective. The very symbol of Eglon's gluttony and oppressive power, his immense size became the instrument of his undoing, swallowing the weapon that killed him. What happened next is a masterclass in escape artistry. Ehud didn't panic. He calmly left the private chamber, locking the doors behind him. He walked right past the king's attendants, who saw the locked doors and simply assumed the king was relieving himself or resting. The Hebrew text uses a euphemism, saying he was covering his feet, which was a polite way to talk about using the restroom. This cultural nuance gave Ehud the precious time he needed to escape. While the servants waited politely outside the locked door, Ehud was already making his way out of the palace and heading for the hills. The servants waited and waited. They grew concerned. Eventually, their patience ran out. They took a key, unlocked the doors, and found their king, dead on the floor. But by then, it was too late. Ehud had already reached the hill country of Ephraim. He blew a ram's horn, the shofar, signaling the call to arms. He rallied the Israelite troops, shouting, "Follow me! The Lord has delivered our enemy, the Moabites, into our hands." Emboldened by their leader's success and the news of the king's death, the Israelites charged down from the hills. They seized the fords of the Jordan River, the key crossing points that would cut off the Moabite army's escape route back to their homeland. The Moabite soldiers in Israel, now leaderless and trapped, were thrown into chaos. The Bible records that the Israelites struck down about 10,000 Moabites, all vigorous and strong. Not one escaped. It was a decisive and total victory. The result, the land had peace for 80 years. A single, daring act of espionage and assassination had shattered the Moabite coalition and liberated an entire nation for generations. It's a stark reminder that history isn't always shaped by grand armies and massive battles. Sometimes, it turns on the actions of a single individual who dares to challenge the status quo. Ehud, the left-handed judge, became a national hero. But let's look beyond the narrative for a moment. What can we learn from this story? On one level, it's a classic underdog tale. The oppressed Israelites, using cunning and courage rather than brute force, overthrow their powerful oppressor. Ehud's left-handedness, a potential disadvantage, is turned into a strategic advantage. It's a powerful metaphor for how our unique traits, the things that make us different, can actually be our greatest strengths. On another level, the story of Eglon serves as a timeless cautionary tale about the arrogance of power. Eglon was so secure in his position, so coddled by his luxury, that he couldn't imagine a threat coming from a humble tribute-bearer. He dismissed his guards to hear a secret message, a moment of vanity and curiosity that cost him his life. His physical state was a mirror of his political state, bloated, complacent, and vulnerable. It teaches us that no matter how powerful a ruler or a system may seem, it can have hidden weaknesses. Complacency is the enemy of security. Archaeologically, while we don't have a body or a palace labeled Eglon's, the story fits well within the geopolitical landscape of the Late Bronze Age and Early Iron Age. The region was a mosaic of small kingdoms and city-states constantly vying for power and resources. The conflict between Israel and Moab was a recurring theme, with control over trade routes and fertile land like the Jordan Valley being a major point of contention. The story of Ehud and Eglon, with its specific details about Jericho, the Jordan fords, and the political dynamics, feels historically plausible within that context. So, the next time you hear a seemingly strange or obscure story from the ancient world, remember King Eglon. His tale is more than just a bizarre historical anecdote. It's a story packed with lessons about strategy, courage, the corrupting nature of power, and the surprising ways that the course of history can be changed forever. It shows that even the most imposing figures can be brought down, and that sometimes the most effective weapon isn't a massive army, but a clever plan and the audacity to carry it out. What do you think? Is this one of the most incredible assassination stories you've ever heard? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into a forgotten corner of history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.